Hi, I'm Nicole Ringgold, and I'm a silversmith, the author of The New Silversmith. Thank you for coming to my YouTube channel and checking this out. In a previous tutorial, I showed how to fabricate a hollow form, and I promised that I would show you how to close the pinhole. So this tutorial that I'm sharing with you today is going to be on how to fabricate a blueberry. And so you will add an embellishment to the top, plus close the pinhole on the bottom side. It'll essentially look like that when you're done. And then you can either solder it onto something else, like a cluster of blueberry leaves, or you can turn it into a bead or a pair of earrings, whatever you choose. But today is going to be a lesson on how to close a hollow form safely. If you have any questions, let me know. Leave comments, questions below. And should you be interested in learning more about details about other kinds of hollow forms, such as a rose hip, poppy pod, maybe even a strawberry, I have started a Patreon channel, and you're welcome to check that out. It is $25 per month, where I upload at least one tutorial per month. And again, they're going to be pretty long-winded, but very, very detailed. Lots of information about botanicals. So that would amount to $300 per year if you're interested. Thank you, as always, to Rio Grande for sponsoring this YouTube channel, and I hope you enjoy. Thank you. Let's get going.
You will need 22 gauge sterling silver sheet. Say hello to my chickens. You will also need 16 gauge sterling silver round wire. Start with a disc cutter, really any size, up to you. I'm using 2/3 of an inch, and I have not yet annealed my silver. Generally, I would recommend that you use a flange so that when you're cutting out your discs, they are an even circle. And your flange, I use copper, should be the same gauge that your sterling silver sheet is. Use the appropriate size cutter, making sure that your blade is side down, and a heavy hammer it all the way through to the other side. Punch out 2 of these the same dimension. And once you've punched out 2 of them, you'll need to anneal the metal, and I'll walk you through that process. Keep in mind that when you purchase silver, even if you purchase dead soft sterling silver sheet, it's not necessarily malleable, and it's generally dirty. When it comes straight out of the package, I call that color gray. It's shiny, it's silver, but I call it gray. To anneal your metal, you'll want to use a soft flame, because a hot flame will actually work harden your metal. So be sure that it's soft. And for the Little Smith oxygen propane, you'll want to have a little bit more propane, which you can see with that soft tip, than oxygen. Heat your metal, pulling away, and once your metal is dark, black, it's annealed. Once I anneal my pieces, I like to put them straight into the pickle, because then you can see the white of the silver, which is the fine silver at the surface, meaning your silver is both clean and soft. Here you can see how clean that looks. And so that means it's ready to be formed. Place your annealed disc in hopefully you have one of these, your dapping block. Make sure that your pin that you put in the dapping cup leaves room for the silver. That's too big because it doesn't allow room for the silver. As you're dapping, watch the color of the silver, because if it takes you a long time, your silver will turn gray or silver again, which means that you've work hardened it. You're going to move consecutively down one size, and your dapping pins should match the size. So don't skip over dapping pin sizes. Make sure that you're going down consecutively through the order of the pins and the dapping cups. When your silver disc that you're forming into a cup sits above the rim of the dapping cup, you're going to need to tilt the silver to the side like that. Your pin is straight up and down, and you're hitting the sides of your silver, the upper edge of your silver, until it fits into the cup. Once the sides fit into the cup, you'll hit straight down. Then move to one smaller, moving again consecutively down. And again, you're going to tilt your silver, not your pin, and dap all around the edges until the entire upper rim of your silver fits into the dapping cup. And once they do, hit straight down. On my Patreon page, I go into much more depth about this process when talking about forming the rose hip. No matter, your goal with this blueberry is to ensure that both of those cups are the same size. Ideally, you're fabricating a perfect sphere. And then when you have created two perfect half cups, half spheres, put the edges together and ensure that the seams are 100% flush all the way around. Even if you think they're perfect, it won't hurt to use some sandpaper and sand down the edges of both sides, and that way you'll make sure 100% positive that your seams are flush all the way around. If you find that your cups are becoming a little bit cattywampus or oval, you might have to move back to a larger dapping cup and then go back through the consecutive sizes. But this looks good. So now I'm going to use sandpaper. I've got one little hole, and make sure that now that hole disappears. You do not want to have a gap. All right, so now you're going to reference, if you have, it's a drill bit and saw blade size chart. For 16 gauge wire, you're going to use 67 to 70 size drill bit and drill one side of your hollow form. If your pieces have been work hardened, you may need to anneal. Flux one side. These are nifty. They're called titanium tweezers made by Lion Punch Forge, and they've got that cool hole where you can balance your hollow form. I'm going to be taking hard solder and sweating the hard solder to the rim of the half sphere, and this is the side with the hole. I'm heating my metal, and once I see that light yellow hue, that means easy solder flow point. So I'm turning my torch to the side to heat the metal to draw the pick. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Turning my torch to the side and heating the metal so that I can draw the solder off my pick, because remember, solder follows heat. Oops, I dropped it. And again, this is hard solder. So I'm heating my solder, not my pick, heating my piece to draw my solder off my pick onto the metal. And for this, I'm probably going to use about 6 pieces of hard solder, placing them all around the rim. And don't worry about sweating them yet. You just want to transfer the solder from your pick. Then turn your torch and heat directly below the solder to sweat the solder inward. Once that's done, I want to show you how to diagnose your silver by color. If you've taken a long time to heat your piece to try to sweat the solder to your metal, you will burn off the flux, in which case your metal will turn black. Black means no more flux. It means that you've oxidized your piece. The yellow means you still have flux in there, and you could still solder to that particular spot if you wanted to. You'll pickle the side that you put the solder on. Make sure you rinse off that pickle. Put the two sides together, flux them. Now the side with the solder, the side with the hole, is on top. Make sure all of the seams are nice and flush. And from here, I do a 2-1 count. I use my pick to ensure that the top piece doesn't bounce around while the flux is heating up. Use my piece to stabilize, and then I do a 2-1 count. So I'm counting 2 heat, 2 on the bottom, 1 on top. 2 on the bottom, 1 on top. That way I'm drawing the solder from that upper half sphere down into the seam, all the way around until the solder flows all the way around. Do not place your piece in the pickle or quench it. Just leave it to cool. Now I'm taking a scrap of sterling silver sheet and I'm melting it, dropping it into a bucket or a watering can of water. You want to be about 1 foot to 2 feet above the water and heat it until your metal drops off down into the water. This is called water casting. And the idea here is that you're creating the upper lip, the more organic portion of the blueberry. You may have to mess around with how high you are away from the water and be sure that your water is cold, not lukewarm. And to me, the reveal is like Christmas. When you pull something out, I love using these as lichen, but that's a perfect little blueberry top. Okay, so now I'm taking the soldered sphere and putting whole side down into the last cup that I used when forming the sphere. Whole side down. And then I'm going to use a dapping pin, one of the smaller. I don't know exactly what size it is, but it's one of the smaller pins. And I'm going to place it squarely or circly on top of my sphere, and I'm going to hit it to create a little divot. This is where you can place your water casting. Make sure that everything is fluxed. I'm going to use my titanium tweezers by Lion Punch Forge again to balance my hollow form. Take that little water casting, place it on top, and then I'm going to move over to medium solder. So keep in mind, so far we've only used hard solder. Probably only need 1 piece, but sometimes I put 2 pieces out just in case I screw up. Remember, when you're pick soldering, heat your solder, not your pick. Make sure your pick is nice and clean. And if you heat your solder, take forever to heat your solder, your platform will get hot. Solder follows heat, so it might just swipe across the surface. So and then heat your piece, and once you see that slight yellow hue, you'll put your solder on one side, right between the little water casting and the sphere. Of course, I'm heating my sphere more than the water casting because that's more of the mass. Put your solder there and then heat the opposite side all the way around to draw it through. Once that step is complete, do not place your piece in the pickle. Do not quench it, just let it air dry. Air dry and air cool. Then you'll take your piece of 16 gauge wire, flux it, and then don't burn off the flux, just heat it so that the flux dries. Put the 16 gauge wire in the hole, and you can clamp it with some third hands. So there's no drop of water inside that sphere. You've heated it, all the steam has evaporated, you've heated the 16 gauge wire, there's no water. So now you're going to use easy solder. And if you're paying attention to the colors on your sphere, if there's black, you might want to apply a little bit more flux. If there's yellow and white, you probably do not need to add any more flux. There's my easy solder. I'm heating the mass all the way around, barely heating that wire, mostly heating the mass. Once I see that yellow hue, I turn my torch to the side. So the solder is sweat to the wire. Now I'm heating my mass to draw the solder down into the hole. And once that's complete, you have a closed hollow form. Keep in mind that if you have any water in that sphere, it will explode when you're trying to close it. Now I use my flex shaft to sand things down, polish things up, might use liver of sulfur, and then sunburst radial discs to give it a nice, beautiful sheen. Et voila, that's it. Let me know if you have any questions, any comments. Happy to answer as many as I can. Don't hesitate to reach out. And keep in mind, I offer a lot more details about this process on my Patreon page, so please check that out. Thank you. I hope you learned something new today.